Power Producers Shop Talk, where we are refining and redefining the sales game by equipping you with the tools you need to differentiate yourself in the marketplace.
Listening to the podcast is only going to get you so far. Why not take your game to the next level? Check out Power Producer Basecamp on killingcommercial.com today.
Tactical skills that'll help you provide deliverable value to your clients and prospects.
Want to have the sweet swag that we send out from the Power Producers podcast for your clients and employees? Check out policyt.com today.
And action items that you can provide to take your prospects and clients to the next level.
Want to create an online presence but don't know how to start? Check out crushingcontent.com. It's done for you, so all you have to do is show up.
This is Power Producers Shop Talk, production redefined. Are you ready to feel the power?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Power Producers Shop Talk, where we are refining and redefining the sales game today. Got my man Chris Langell on here. We got to cut through some noise because there's a lot of noise out there about what you should be looking at, what you shouldn't be looking at, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. And you know what? To each their own. Everybody can have a theory or a philosophy. I prefer to stick with what works and what has worked with minor tweaks to prepare for the future. So I've got some questions that I wanted to ask Chris, and I figured why not just ask him and share them with everybody else. So right out of the chute, man, with the rise in AI where it is right now, everybody's talking about it. If you really understand it, it's kind of like VAs 6 years ago in the insurance industry. Everybody wanted to talk about them but had no clue how to use them. But with the rise of AI, what do you see as the role for websites, for agencies as we move forward? And I'm asking you that knowing full well you're a website person.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And there's a lot of people in the SEO community and the web development, web design, AI communities who will tell you, and some very smart people, some very bright people that I respect a lot, who are basically saying, websites within the next 10 years could be, not obsolete, obviously, but just losing value because of the introduction of AI and AI search and how that will all work. And obviously that's an opinion. I still think that websites matter a lot and they will always matter a lot. It's your business's, little sliver of the internet, but AI is definitely changing the way that I think websites will be utilized and how they'll be found, right? Like we all talk about search engine optimization and there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of people that think they have the answers, right? And it's funny because the way that an LLM actually works, like a large language model, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, whatever, they don't actually index, they don't actually like rank a website. So you have these like marketers and these people that are online that talk about, hey, we can get your website ranked in ChatGPT. That's either them just being naive about how it works, or maybe they do know how it works and they're just trying to take advantage of people that don't know any better. But LLMs, think of them as sort of like a summary engine, right? They're pulling different data points and different information from different parts of the web. ChatGPT is obviously a Microsoft product, so they're pulling a lot of their data from Bing. They're also pulling data from other places like Reddit and also from Google as well. But I think the role of the website is still going to be very important, but I think it will be ultimately it'll end up being sort of one of those data points that the LLMs are using to recommend a brand or a company if and when people use LLMs to actually find businesses. Right now, Google is still king. ChatGPT is the most widely used LLM in terms of search, but there's still only about 1% of the search volume of Google. So Google is still by far the dominant force in search, and I don't really ever expect that to change. But it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. Obviously, it's still in the grand scheme of things very new, and AI is not perfect. There's a lot of people that they take what AI spits out as gospel, and I think that's definitely got to be careful, right? Because it does give wrong information, inaccurate information. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Again, I'm in the business of website development and digital marketing. it's something that we're obviously keeping an eye on, but it's yeah, like I said, there's a lot of people that think that, blog content will just be eaten up completely by AI overviews. And, depending on what these LLMs do with like local search, maybe there will be like map pack results native to the LLM. So there's a lot of stuff that's still up in the air, bottom line.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess my question is, with my limited understanding of how LLMs work, they've got to have places to get the information. So I guess, if I don't necessarily think devil's advocate's the right terminology, but, you know, even like looking at how Chat GPT itself has sort of started to morph with the deep research function that it has now, it's even actually going out. And if you do deep research queries, it's going to cite the sources where it goes. It's going to websites to get that information.
Sure.
So I guess my question would be, if websites failed to provide information and have content,
Yeah.
where's the AI going to be able to pull that information from? I don't know that I mean, obviously it can't just generate it on its own, maybe
Sure.
at some point somebody will be able to have that happen, but I mean, right now it's kind of like if Encyclopedia Britannica was going to crowdsource the information that got published into it, it just goes out and gets it from people who are in the trenches living it every day. And it does do a good job for the most part of like packaging, summarizing, and all of that. But I mean, my real question would be, okay, so everybody starts moving over to Chat GPT as opposed to Google for search. Websites lose a little bit of the relevance that they have, right? That's maybe not relevance, but prominence in your strategy that they have right now. But if people quit doing content creation and pushing that knowledge out there, where do these large language models go? Because especially with something like insurance, where trends are changing, the market is cyclical, and educational information to consumers is what really honestly separates the people who are just salespeople from the people who are advisors. What happens to the LLMs if those people quit doubling down on that?
No doubt. It's a great point, and it's a great counterpoint, and it's true. I mean, if you look at,
I feel like Will Ferrell in Old School, man. I just blacked out. What happened?
yeah, no, I mean, like Google Gemini, for example, the number one most cited website by Google Gemini over the last 6 months has been YouTube. No surprise, right? Google's trying to drive traffic to their own properties, but it's content creation will take on different shapes and forms, right? Like for years, like the best practice was to put blogs on your website. That's still obviously a best practice, but if Gemini is citing YouTube, creating videos on your YouTube channel is probably now as, if not more important than creating just text only blogs or having a video in your blog, right? So I think video content it's the future, and it's also the present, but it's definitely, in my opinion, like going to be a big component going forward with AI and just the results that AI pulls. But you're right. There needs to be websites for there to be information presented by an LLM. So again, that's kind of why like I look at some of the opinions online and it's like, I see your point, but I respectfully disagree. So all websites will always have their place in the ecosystem. And like you said, I mean, publishers that create content, when we look at a lot of the data, and this is kind of something that has been corroborated by a lot of other people's tests and trial and error, like in order for your blog or content to show in an AI overview, it needs to be ranking like top 3 organically, which is very difficult to do in many different industries, especially insurance. It's just when you look at the results for informational queries, it's like Allstate, State Farm, Geico, Progressive, Liberty Mutual, right? Those are the companies and websites that are typically ranking very high for a lot of those informational searches. So I think for the average agency owner, it's a tough place to compete in. Because it's content creation is an arms race. And unless you have a team of people that are following you around with cameras and chopping.
It's so funny. I say that all the time, man. I'm literally like Sandy Lyle in Along Came Polly with the E! True Hollywood Story film crew going around. I don't physically have people, but I literally record everything. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I can get content out at the volume that I can get it out. Every Zoom is recorded. Every Zoom is then transcribed into written word. You know, like even a coaching call. I met with Rod Urban, Enrique Sepero from Urban Young this week, and we were going through an account that they were working on, and I was helping them get some perspective from the risk management piece. We met for an hour and a half, and feverishly these guys are trying to take notes. I'm like, fellas, just chill. You don't need to do that. Soon as the call's over, video processes, my note taker was in there. I take that, I run it through Chat GPT into some prompts that I have that'll automatically summarize the call. It'll give all of the anchor text and keywords I need to use if I'm going to turn that into some sort of blog posts. I also have it give me 5 to 10 tweetable quotes that came out of the call. So if I want to go on X and start putting tweets out about, you know, things that may be relevant to people to grow that platform, I've got all of that done there. But then I take it a step further and say, take this transcript and give me an outline of what a 2,000 word long form blog post would look like. It spits out the outline in great detail. Then I have it construct it, not to put on my website. That becomes the call recap that they can sit down and read. They have the high level overview, the highlights, then they've got the meat that they can get into, and they don't have to sit there and try and take notes on what we talked about anymore. And that's if they don't have their own note-taking system in there. But I mean, for me to do that for them, number one, it differentiates the work product that I provide to the members of my community when I have coaching calls with them. But, you know, number two, it makes it a lot easier for them to digest the information, man. I mean, it takes me maybe 5 minutes to do that after the call. That's not an issue. I'll do that every single time. The problem is that people who want to create content don't have a system. Like you said, it's an arms race. And yeah, I do have a team of like 6 or 7 VAs that can do this stuff. But even if I didn't, I would still be able to put out a high volume of content through the software tools we use, and the fact that I have the raw material to pull it from, and I'm not just going out and sitting down and banging my head against the desk trying to figure out what I'm going to blog about today.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and that's a great use of AI, obviously, is, you know, spitting out content and writing content and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's funny, like, you know, we have agencies all the time that will hit us up and, you know, on demo calls, and existing clients that have been with us for many years. And they're like, you know, we really want to step on the gas. Like we want to like improve our digital footprint. Like, what should we do? And the very first thing that we tell people is start creating video. You know, people will get to know, like, and trust you more so from outbound marketing and video content than they will from a blog post on your website that they may or may not even find in a search, right? So yeah, we can talk about that all day long.
I think that's an important, and to me, the caveat on that is you've got AI, which is obviously machine learning, and people look at that as robots taking over the world, if you want to be on the one extreme. And if you have a brand that's local that you want to gain authority and trust with, you have to do everything you can to combat the thought process of AI taking over the world and humanize your brand. There's really only one really good way to do that, and that's video, 100%. And I'm not talking about using AI video, which people look, man, people are always going to look for the easy way out, right? And I met with a producer yesterday, and I told him, I'm like, if you came into this industry wanting to change your life, it will absolutely give you the opportunity to do that. If you came into this industry thinking that that's easy, let me set you straight right now. It's not. I said, you can follow a framework, but you have to follow the framework, and you've got to put in the reps. You've got to do the process, because if you don't, you're going to get burnt out and you're going to be gone. You'll never hit your numbers. There is no magic potion. There is no silver bullet. You have all kinds of tools that you can use to make that a little bit easier, but it doesn't ever make it easy.
No doubt. Yeah. And it's funny. It's one of the things we've been talking to a lot of our clients about is, you know, go create a YouTube channel. Look, we don't expect you to, you know, create 30 videos a month. Like, just create 1 video a month, or some YouTube shorts, something that we can connect to your website to add some personality, right? Because we tell the agencies all the time, look, your elevator pitch is the same as most other agencies, right? You're independent, you can shop different companies, blah, 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 right? That's what most independent agencies are saying. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the truth. The thing that differentiates one agency from the other is, I call it the 3 Ps, right? People, personality, and processes. And video content is one of the best ways to, you know, resonate with a prospect or a client on your website. So
100%. So one of the other things that we've talked about, and I've even talked to people that just even in the last couple of days since we first discussed it, I've talked to a couple of agents that have kind of validated our conversation on Wednesday, has to do with the Google My Business page for agencies today. You know, your standpoint is that it's more important now than ever. Maybe talk about that for a little bit.
yeah. So the Google Business Profile has been important for a long time, but even more so now because there's evidence and data that shows that these LLMs are citing Google Business Profiles, and ChatGPT specifically is using Bing Places, which is the Microsoft or the Bing equivalent to a Google Business Profile. So if you're an agency listening, make sure that you have a Bing Places profile set up. That's definitely important for ChatGPT searches. But the Google Business Profile, what most people don't realize, and we've tracked this with call tracking numbers and UTM tags and whatnot to see how much traffic a Google Business Profile will send a business, whether that be website visits or calls, and it's substantial. It's in the 3 or 4 use cases that we tested, it was upwards of 60-70% of their website traffic was coming directly from their Google Business Profile, and the majority of their calls were coming from directly from the call tracking number that we had in their Google Business Profile. So, you know, think about it. It's really common sense, right? If somebody searches for insurance agency near me or insurance agency in city name, Google's going to show you the map pack results first, right? They're going to show you ads at the top, and then they're going to show you the map pack results. And now what Google's showing also underneath of that is like other SERP features, like, you know, people also ask section. They might show more ads, and then the organic results are like towards the bottom.